quite late in the go today, but the objective is actually to get some of the floor sections at the front where the floor meets the front inner wheel tub, and see if I can manage to get at least one side done this evening. The other side I'll try and get done tomorrow, and then we'll actually be on to eventually the middle sills and the outer sills, which is something that people keep asking, you know, get to it, get to it. I will get to it. It's just, you know, finishing off the little bits to the ends is something that I need to do. But we'll move on soon enough. Hopefully in the next few days the middle and the outer sills will be going on. But bear with me, let's get the rest of the corners of the floors done up to where the floor pans were replaced and go from there. Well, the car's starting to come together with our floors being in, but before I brace it, I'm going to finish off the last corners of the floor, which is the sections in here. They do tend to rot, and as we can see up here, the rot is not always apparent, but goes all the way along the seam. So what I'm going to do now is cut off this section of the A-pillar. Now the A-pillar is made up of a few sandwiches, or a few layers should I say. This box section, this, and another one here. So what I'll need to do first is I'm going to cut, if you actually see, there's some spot welds and attachments right here. So I'm not going to interfere with them at the moment. I'm going to take a nice cut straight across to here so that I can lift this seam off. And then, as you can see, that seam is at the back of your middle sill, which we will be replacing. So this will come off first. This is the spot welds for the middle sill. So we'll have all that off. We have to take it off anyway to replace the middle sill, but it will let us get all this repaired. And my actual intention is, if you look where the deep bitting in the metal is, my intention is actually to cut along here in the first case, and then just a shortcut up to here just to replace this section here, because it is well pitted, and I'll hide the joint behind the bracket for the hose. I'll go and get some bits cut out now. Well, the more astute of you will actually notice that didn't go to plan. The lip that should have been here, I ended up having to drill through so many of the spot welds because they were all doubled up, that actually the lip started to become unusable. So I'll need to put a new lip in from here to here before I can put the extra pieces in. But other than that, we're now down to, you know, good margins. The middle sill, the end of it is obviously toast, but we'll be replacing that. At the moment, I'm only going to the inner bit of the wheel tub when it comes down and finishes here. So I'm going to do that just now, get that buttoned up, and the rest of this. Then we'll get on to the middle sills after I've done the same on the other side. That's the lips now in, and far more solid than it was before. Trimmed up to here, welded into the corner. I feel like I'll get the bits cleared off here and then ground back. I now have the start of the piece to put in there. Rather than make one complex piece, I'll stick it in a couple of pieces to make it a little bit neater and easier to dress off. So that's the locations for the plug welds. But what I'll be doing is I'll be butt welding it to the inner tub first, clamping it up to bring it back into position. Because if you actually look, there is actually a little bit of flex. So I'll bring that back out to position before I get it in there by lever this out, butt weld it, and then clamp that back in. After that, I will actually trim this piece on the car and then bend over the little return down. Well, there we have it, that's the first patch in. Nice angle all the way down here. Nice return on the inside. I might add an extra couple of spots in the back of that once I get the car turned over. So onto the next section was here to here, and I'm deliberately keeping the sections roughly the same size so that the cuts aren't complex, because when you bend round here it's often very, very hard to get this back into shape, or a shape that lines up. So we'll get it to here, and then I'll tackle this piece to here, and then one piece in the end. No, doesn't seem like a lot for the evening, but for a few hours work it's pretty good going. That's the edge of the floor pretty much in place. As you can see, I've marked out the areas that I did at piecework. Now that would have taken me far, far longer to do in one single piece. I could have done it, but I find working with metal like that, purely being a hobbyist, is quite difficult. So hence the bit of a patchwork. However, once that's actually, I mean, those welds I've only just had the lip taken off them. Once it's actually dressed and it's come off flat epoxy, it's a solid repair, but it'll actually look a lot better. Sealed around the side, and I have somewhere to put in a wheel tub. This will need to come forward a bit. The flange of the middle sill will sit out here as it should do. The outer wheel tub will come down here and meet it. So this is pretty much prepped, just the other side to do now. And I can probably clean up most of the floor and epoxy the underside in.